Greetings, Patrick here with 8 questions with, and here it is on a very, very cold Wednesday here in southeastern Michigan. We have snow on the ground. Yeah, it's too cold for it to melt, so it's just hanging on the ground. Um, yeah, it's whew. Supposed to get a little bit of a warm up for the next 2 days, and then of course we'll be right back with temperatures in the low 20s and teens. Oh, there she is, our guest for next week on the 16th of December. That's our good friend Barb from Fear the Talking Heads, um, which is really fun because I have discovered that Jeffrey Dean Morgan is rather active on TikTok. He dresses up like Negan and he has Lucille or Lucy with him, and he likes to talk. Uh, it's of course the chats are pretty busy, uh, so if you try to communicate with him, you can't catch everybody. Um, oh, it's great. Now I was actually really surprised. I was reading the chat, and good Lord, I had to ask somebody about this. I said, just how important was because I know he killed two main characters, Glenn and another character, but that was like 10 years ago, right? But everybody comes in there, they always want to sit there and say you killed Glenn. I'm like, but he's done other things since then. He's done other things. He did the Unholy, which I was super happy with. That was a fun movie. Um, hey Anthony, how are you? 2 days. Hey Tom, how are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Um, so yeah, I mean, now I would be the first to say, and I have said this before, I think Jeffrey Dean Morgan just absolutely rocks it out on TV. Everything he does on TV, I really, really enjoy. But man, oh man, he struggled on feature films. Uh, I've reviewed a few of his feature films, and it's not him. It's the material that he's been given. Just weren't very good scripts, and really felt bad for him, because he's such a dynamic figure. You see Jeffrey D. Morgan, and he's amazing. I loved him as a comedian. I thought he was great there. He was great in the Unholy. Um, of course, he had a key role in Supernatural. Um, yeah, that's right. He was the dad in Fall. He was the yeah. They're supposed to be making a sequel to that. I'm not sure whatever happened to it. Um, I owned the Unholy. I bought it, and I was very pleasantly surprised to see how fun it was. Um, I was like really happy for him because I went in there like holding my breath because every time I get Jeffrey Dean Morgan um, movie, a feature film, I'm always holding my breath because it's not him. It's just like I said, it's the material that he gets, and he's been snake bit. Um, but The Unholy is a very underrated film, if you ask me. Yeah, the CGI is a little dodgy. I will give that, but the performances, I really enjoyed those. I thought that was a fun movie. Um, let's see, The Possession. Uh, I haven't seen The Possession, but I will definitely look it up, because I'm always rooting for him to. I'm always rooting for him to catch a break because he deserves it. He's a very good actor. Though I will be the first to tell you that I did not understand the Negan arc in The Walking Dead because he is a stone cold murderer, stone cold, and yet somehow, some way, they decide that they're going to make him into an anti-hero, and um, I just couldn't understand that. I was like, how does that work? Um, because the last time I saw something like that was in the series called Angel. In fact, I was talking about this in Angel, and there was a character named Lindsay on that show, and he was not a nice person at all. But toward the end of the run, they're making their final stand. They had Lindsay come in and help the Angel teams out. But the end of the action, they had a character named Lorne turn around and kill him because whatever he had done to help Angel had not overcome the damage he had done before that. So they just wanted him gone. Um, yeah, yeah, Tom. You know what? Yeah, I mean, but everything he's done on TV has done really, really well. He's a really strong TV presence. Yeah, see, he was on Danny Duquette from Grey's Anatomy. That was I think that was I don't think that was his breakout role though. I still think he's probably he might be more well known for that, but I also think he's also well known for Watchmen. Um, yeah, super nice guy. I remember seeing a little bit of that. I've only seen 2 episodes of Grey's Anatomy in its 19 years. I've only seen 2 episodes. That was during season 2, where they had the guy with a grenade or something inside. He got shot with a grenade, and that's the only episode I ever saw. With um, Christina Ricci and Kyle Chandler. Great episode. Yeah, that's what happens with a show like that. It's, I know I know they just bring in the fresh people in, and they regurgitate what they've done. I know that happens for series. It, the networks, as long as they're getting what they're getting, nothing's going to change. Uh, they're gonna go ahead and cast the members, and then for a lot of them they'll they lowball them when they recast, when they cast new faces. They're coming in at the lowest salary. They'll run them in there for 2 or 3 seasons and then get rid of them and do the same thing again. They got fresh new faces. That's why I think there's only like what isn't there only like 2 original cast members left on Grey's Anatomy. I know that Ellen Pompeo, she only comes in part time, but I think it's the I think there's only 2 original cast members. See, prep for some of the end of the videos. Yes. Let's see. I can't wait to see your list. You have to come by and share it with us. I'm probably going to do a top 15 and a bottom 10. I got to do that. I had a really good year this year. My number one is going to be, well, I can tell you my number one horror film that I saw. My number two film overall was No Tears in Hell. And my number three will be a movie called Malicious. Malicious was that's a badass movie. I'm hoping against hope that I will be able to talk to the star of that movie next year. We're only doing 5 episodes in December because of the holidays, but come January, we hope that we'll get back up and running with a good guest list. So our guest tonight is Jill Holder. Now, she is a faith-based Christian actress and producer. So we'll be talking about that a lot tonight. She's done several other things, and too. She works on a lot of the docudramas. The ones that reenact crime and what have you. She does a lot of that work. She appeared on an episode, which I'm really can't wait to ask her about this. She actually did an episode with the Chrisleys. I'm going to ask her about that because I mean personally think those people creep the hell out of me. They do. I they're just creepy. But but she appeared on one of their shows, and I want to ask her what it was like being around them and what that experience was like. She's got a good resume too. I'm watching one of the movies that she did called Broken Road, and she has an appearance as a district attorney. But she's also worked on films such as Nothing is Impossible and The Last Evangelist. Check that out. Payback, American Detective with Joe Kenda. So that looks to be, she's got a lot of other cool things that we're going to be talking about, including one called Fatal Attraction. And she lives in Tennessee. She's based in Tennessee, and I can't wait to sink my teeth into this. I do like faith-based films when they're done. The smaller, the better. The smaller, the better. Like I haven't heard anything from this her production company. I have never heard of it. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. Uh, I tend to oh stop watching Joe Kenda now. Yes, American Detective. That's right. That's the show. Uh, it's Let's see. Can't complain on my end. Just getting ready. Okay, I read that. Sounds good. Let's see. This year was pretty solid overall for Marvel and DC content. 26 is looking pretty packed. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I guess they just dropped the trailer or the teaser for Supergirl. Um, I don't know, man. I'm not really excited about that. To tell you the truth, I really like Sasha Callie. I thought she was the highlight of the Flash. Absolutely, 100%. It was great seeing Michael Keaton again as Batman, but I thought Sasha Callie was a revelation as Supergirl, and I liked it. I thought she did a great job. And then, of course, what do they do? Kill off her character, and then James Gunn just ignores it. Of course, not to be not unexpected when it comes down to James Gunn. So I don't even know who the girl is that is cast as Supergirl. I just know that they went back with the traditional look. So I guess I can't complain. I just think Sasha Callie would have did a better job. Um, yeah, as far as yeah, it was a good year for superheroes. Marvel, I think Marvel had a solid year with Thunderbolts and the Fantastic Four. I mean, both those movies did pretty well. Um, and, and again, I say this again, it's like you can't, and we were talking about this yesterday with our guest Clore Rowland. Um, you cannot take what a studio says, what they spend on a movie. You cannot take that. If they come out there and say, we spent $200 million on Avengers, you just can't take that. You just know that that movie did not cost anywhere near $200 million at all. Uh, you go into making movies with the idea of making a profit. You do. That's how you do it. You go like, okay, how can we do this to make a profit? You're not going to sit there and put $200 million down and expect to make a profit, because if a movie has to do 3 to 3.5 times what the production costs come, so you're basically saying, well, we expect this movie to do $700 million. There's no way in hell that you can predict that when you first start a movie. Uh, as you get a director together, get a screenplay together, then start getting your cast, it starts helping. It helps. Um, uh, Speaking of that, we're going to go ahead and talk. Hey, Doc, how are you? Our guest is here. The doorbell has rang, so you know what that means. That means we got to go get her. And thank you guys all for being here. And feel free to share us out. Let's go get Jill. Oops, I was going to get her. I see she's trying to she's trying to sign in. Okay, I think that's it. Hello.
Hi, can you see and hear me at all?
We can hear you. We can't see you.
Am I there?
Your voice is, but not your face.
Oh, well, it looks like it's
There you
up
go.
to me.
Ta-da!
Great, good, good.
Oh,
Hi.
hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm glad you are here.
Yes,
Um,
it's a pleasure.
so we were just talking a little about we're talking a little bit about the end of the year and movies being made and budgets and which is really fun because you have your own. You're also a producer
Mhm.
and also have put out some content of your own, projects on your own, as well as doing acting.
Yes, that's right.
And the really cool thing about you when I was looking at it was how you really just got your start not that long ago in movie time.
Correct. Yeah, yeah. You would think that I've been doing it a lot longer. I've been blessed with a lot of opportunities that I'm so grateful for. But I really only started this just a little before COVID hit. And my resume at this point, I have over 200 different projects that I've worked on since that time. Yeah.
Yeah, I noticed that. I was looking at your the actor access,
Mhm.
and wow, they love you. You must anything that's going on in Knoxville, you must be getting a phone call from.
I do get a lot of work in Knoxville, yes, and I'm thankful for that. You know, my background really was business. I was a teacher for 17 years. I started a fashion business, and then that grew. I did that for 10 years, and acting just fell in my lap. The opportunity came to me, and I thought, maybe I'll try it. It was a modeling opportunity, and I took that and did it for in exchange for fashion photos. And the photographer recommended that I get an agent and referred me. I got an agent the next week. He got me an acting role the following week. I really just jumped in. And I've said before, and I think it's true, that what I didn't know about acting is what helped me have success, because I was used to setting goals for my business. And so I set those same goals for acting and approached it as a business model. And I didn't know the goals were high. I thought they were achievable. So I went for them, and that's helped me have success that I've had.
Now, and you make this is really cool because it sounds like it sounds like you just went out to the first agency and you walked in through the door and said hi. Whereas in fact, getting an agent is not necessarily an easy thing.
You
Um,
know, it
especially-
was for me, and I think it's because
yeah,
I had a referral, and God was there before I got there. I could just tell it was definitely a good fit at the time. Yeah, I didn't know it was hard to get an agent. I didn't know
yeah.
any of it was supposed to be hard to get a role. I didn't know, so that helped me. I just jumped in and thought, this is something I can do. I can set a goal, I can work for it, I can train, and I can hit these marks, and that's been a blessing.
I think it's rather refreshing that you went in like that because a lot of actors, where they're going through a training or going through, like you tell someone, I want to become an actor, and the first thing you hear from that is how hard it is to get an agent, the
Mhm.
getting paid, you're working on low budget films. A lot of the actors already probably by the time they hit their first set, they already got like 33% of their expectations have already been probably been wiped out. Like, man, it's going to be hard. It's going to be, hard. How am I going to get roles? How do I audition? I mean, they've all been filled up already from bad stories that they've gotten.
Yes.
So they already go in there with sort of like, like it's very cautionary for them.
Mhm.
No one just jumps, nobody just takes a leap of faith and jumps into it because they've heard of all these, everybody knows an actor who doesn't always get a lot of work.
Yeah, and
Um,
that's
or,
kind of
or-
the misconception about a lot of actors. If you meet someone and you say, "Well, I'm an actor," they usually say, "Yeah, but you don't really work, right?" But I am a working actor. So people think that acting is not doable unless you live in LA, and it's very doable in a lot of other
Oh,
places besides LA.
the East Coast and Georgia are very good places to go and get work.
Yeah.
I know Georgia's going a little bit iffy right now, and of course, with the studios being bought and taken over, I think the things are going to get a little bit like it's going to be a really interesting time for the big mainstream studios and production companies. But for you, with your company, man, it's got to it's got to be a blessing because here you are, you're small, you're determined, you stay within yourself, you get
Mhm.
things done.
Yeah, and
Um,
it's still working in Georgia. I have to be on set tomorrow morning in Marietta at 8 a.m. for a feature film project. So there's still work coming, but there's a lot going on in Knoxville. And even people that live in Knoxville don't even understand how much filming is happening here. We have so much going on.
Yeah. Now I definitely have known about, I've been hearing about that. Like Kentucky's really starting to get some people over there. I know a lot of film crew that live in Kentucky. I know a lot of actors that are in Georgia. It's good to hear about the Georgia aspect, everything's still going on over there because I know that there's been a couple of really big projects that got moved over to the UK because suddenly they got too expensive for Georgia. And
Mm,
that was like, oh, Georgia's supposed to be like the cheap end of things, because
mhm.
there's Hollywood and then there's Georgia.
Yeah.
Um, you know, uh, but tell us a little bit how you got your start. I mean, like you said, you're a teacher for 17 years. What did you teach?
I
If
taught
I can ask.
pre-K. Yeah, I taught pre-K.
Oh,
I love teaching. I did not want to leave teaching, but I had started a fashion business on the side, and I was a single parent at the time. I have 5 children, and the youngest was a baby. And I was trying to do so many things at once, and I couldn't do the mom stuff that's super important to me, and teach, and run the fashion business. So I had to let something go, and the fashion business was a better income than teaching. So I had to lay that one down and just do the fashion. Yeah.
it,
And that
it,
really put
it's,
people.
it's sort of sad, isn't it?
It was in a lot of ways, but I feel like it's like a daisy chain. I don't know if you ever made daisy chains or clover
Hmm.
chains. I guess it's a girl thing. But I did that a ton with my cousins. I have a lot of cousins, lots of girl cousins. And so we would make those daisy chains and make crowns and rings and bracelets and the necklaces and all those things out of clover. And it was like one flower led to the next flower that led to the next flower. But when you're tying 2 flowers together, you can only hold 2. So you have
Right,
to let go of one to pick up the next thing. And
right.
that's how I
Makes sense.
feel like it's been for me in my different career paths, is that I've had a thing and I picked up another, but I have to let this one go in order to take this one up. And then one thing leads to the next, to the next.
I mean, I've heard of a lot of a lot of actors, they have done that too.
Mhm.
They had to let go of something to pick up to go forward. But I don't know if I've talked to anybody who was a school teacher who's done that because I mean school teaching, it's it takes a lot of dedication and love to do it. But you're right. You ain't doing it for the money,
No.
at a lot of places. Some
Well,
places, yeah. I mean, some places. I mean, I hear some of the teachers make over $100,000 a year, and I'm like, what?
not me.
But then
That was not
yeah,
what I was doing. No. But teaching
uh,
helped me with what I do now. I feel like classroom management was a great skill to learn so that it helps me be a good producer, because producers are managers and they're
yes,
detail oriented and they're problem solvers, and they look at the numbers and they look at a lot of things at once, and then they try to have a positive attitude to make the whole project come together while they're solving the problems in the background. So teaching, really doing all those things at once, prepared me for producing.
yeah. I can see that. I can see that. Plus you're used to working with not that much money or resources too.
Yes.
So you're able to figure it out a lot better than most who don't have that background.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to the chat real quick. We got people in here saying hello to you. And Steven is our good friend Steven here saying he's going to be doing a live stream tomorrow. Awesome.
Good.
And it says hello to you and says, all right, people are they're subscribing to each other. That's awesome. Let's see, Madeline Stowe. She had a job. She wasn't an actress. Became an actress. Yes, there are a lot of well-known people who have started off on one job and then go into acting. Um,
Mhm.
and on top of this, what makes it a little bit more challenging too is that you are a faith-based company. Your production company is faith-based. You make faith-based films. I was watching a little bit of Broken
I
Road
do.
today.
Ah,
That
cool.
is that is I'm okay with faith-based films. Like I love Jefferson Moore.
Mhm.
You've heard of him, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love his stuff.
Yeah. Well, I
I
think
love.
it's a cool aspect to use. We use films all across all platforms, right? They have a message of some kind. All films have some kind of message. And
Hmm.
so, why not have a faith based film that has a faith based message, especially those that bring hope? So, Broken Road, I think, is a great film that does that.
Hmm.
It was really funded by a local ministry, the Knoxville Christian Arts Ministry, and they have a prison ministry. So they go into prisons all across the Southeast and they use the performing arts to reach people and share the hope of Christ. And so this film was created to go beyond the Southeast, and it's been sent out to prisons all across the country. And then it's streaming as well. So more and more prisons are not doing DVDs, but they have streaming options that are secure streaming platforms. And that's what
Right.
Broken Road was designed for.
Yeah, I didn't know that the prison. Oh, the prisons would show the DVD. Okay, I was gonna
Mhm.
say I don't think prisoners would be allowed to have DVDs.
No, the prison chaplain will show it.
Oh, okay,
But
okay,
prisoners actually have access, many places, many prisons, to laptops. That's one of the privileges that they can accrue is not a laptop, sorry, an iPad or a tablet.
okay.
And so they can accrue time on their tablet, or they can use commissary dollars to help rent specific films that have been approved by the prison system for them to watch. And so getting into those platforms has been great for us to get Broken Road out there as well.
Yeah, plus a mainstream outlet like Tubi. Um,
Mhm.
I remember when I saw his movie. I saw it at midnight on a very tiny little independent religious station. Never, just it was just like out of the blue, and that's what I got. I watched his movie. I think it was called The Stranger, and then I got introduced to the Kendrick brothers.
Yes.
Um, when they did Flywheel, great
Mhm.
movie.
They've done quite
Uh,
a few great films. Yeah, they have.
uh, yeah, it's really weird because I'm going to ask you this question too. It's like, I mean, do you still work with that other production company that put out Broken Road, or were you just
Yes.
in a
We
work?
have
Okay,
another one in the works. Yes.
okay, okay. Now, are you part of that group?
I just work for them as their film producer. So when
Okay,
they have a film, then they hand it to me and I get to do what producers do, and pull it apart and memorize it and put it back together again in a new way and plan it and handle casting and locations. And, basically, I feel like a producer's main role is to anticipate problems when you're planning. Really, what you're doing is planning, thinking, what are the problems I have to overcome here? And let's plan for those. And then on shoot days, it helps me have a good attitude if I acknowledge I am here to solve problems. That's my job. My job is to make it run smoothly and take care of the problems.
is it a problem? Is it not necessarily a problem, but is it a little bit of a challenge when you have a mixed crew? Like maybe half of them are and are Christian, and then
Mhm.
half of them are not, but they're because you're gonna have to fill in holes, for your production. I mean, not
Sure.
every
I
So
don't think it's a problem at all. Because hopefully, if I've done my job well and I have investigated all of the cast before they're hired and all the crew before they're hired, they are individuals who work well with other people. And
right.
that's the key, is that we work well with others. And we should, on a faith-based film, in every film, we should be there to work well.
I just think it's a little bit more pressure on for a specialty film like that, though. I think it's like it's a
Yeah,
little bit of more of I think it's a little bit more of a challenge.
it kind of isn't actually for my experience, but it might be on others, because it's like everyone's there with a unified purpose that's bigger than just the film itself, right? Like the
Right.
Broken Road is created for the purpose of sending it out to prisons and making a difference in the lives of people who can often feel like they just don't have any hope left. And so a long night is a bit easier when you're not just there focusing on yourself and your career and your role, but you're doing it for something greater than you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed that you've done a lot of docudramas too, and that's a really good segue because I like a good docudrama, and I think they're very important actually.
Mhm.
Um, those shows that they reenact and whatnot. I think it's important. And I have great I love watching them. In fact, we were one of our guests in the chat there was sitting there saying how I had mentioned that you were on did a an American Detective
Oh, yeah.
with Joe Kenda, and he was watching it even as we are talking. So 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 that was just like, yeah, okay, there we go. But I do have one question because I did say this would be my first question, but it turned out it wasn't. But
Okay.
okay, but I'm going to ask, and I'm sure you'll probably go like, yeah, I was expecting that, but and be honest here. Don't fluff it up. Don't
Okay.
don't like make it all like all it was all peaches and cream.
Mhm.
Be honest. Um, so you did you worked with the Chrisleys.
Yes, I did. I did. And you know what? They were really nice in person and nothing like they are on TV. Nothing like they are on TV.
So what was that like working with them? I mean, now was this? Did you work with them when their legal troubles were happening?
No, it was before that. So the legal troubles had not happened. I was hired to come in and be the speech coach for like a public speaking class. And the role of the daughter and the grandmother, they were taking this public speaking class together. And so when I got to set, the director said, "Hey, you're great. Go in there and just improvise. You're a public speaking coach. You can use your real name, just make up an introduction to the class and start teaching a class. We'll film in like 5 minutes." And so you really get tossed into the middle. But it was fun. So luckily I was comfortable talking in front of people, and I had a background of, doing that with fashion presentations for years. So it was just an interesting day, but in person, sitting and talking to the two of them, they were so kind, so nice, and not drama people at all. So
Oh,
nice.
I'm sure they wanted to. I'm sure they wanted to maintain that. I mean, even though they were busy being extremely dishonest, but
Well, the
they
daughter and
were.
grandmother were great. They were
I
really
mean,
nice.
oh, so that's how it went. I was going to ask you, how did you get invited to go on there? And now you just told me, and it's like that's just the
Well,
only thing we're missing. I think the only thing.
I'd
Go
actually
ahead.
auditioned for the role of a nanny, and I did a Zoom audition, and the casting director and the director were on the audition, and the director said, "I really want you for a role, but I don't think you're a good fit for the nanny. But hang on and don't give up, because we're going to call you back for something else." So then they
And here
called
we
me
thought.
back for that.
And here we thought all those reality shows were dead on, and now we find out that they're just regular TV shows.
Just
That's
regular
weird.
TV shows. And actually,
Yeah.
most of the lines that the main people say are fed to them by the director. "Why don't you say this? Why don't you say this?" So they just say what they're told.
Oh my gosh, it puts everything in perspective, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Uh, do you get asked about that experience more than anything else that you've done so far?
I don't know. I guess a little bit. Mostly I get asked about the producing or casting. And then people will run into me that have seen me on commercial projects and different film projects. And so whatever they've seen me on is what they want to ask me about. I was in a Target once and a lady came up to me and said, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe you're here. What are you doing here?" Well, I'm shopping for my family. And she said, "But I watched you on TV and you died." It was on a true crime reenactment.
Well, you just tell them that, I got resurrected,
Yeah, it was just for TV. It wasn't real.
uh, let's see. Tom mentions actors are chameleons on film. Look at the great Jim Caviezel. He's a famous Christian actor. His face is very important to him, and he can play any character. Okay, I'll be honest with you. I love Jim Caviezel, his acting. A huge person of interest fan. Huge frequency fan too.
Yeah, we are
I have
supposed
not.
to be, good actors, we can play whatever role we need to play. So,
Yeah, yeah. So, what was your first after you just? How did you? Did you talk to anybody before you had the fashion going on and you put down the teaching? So there you are. You're doing the fashion, and then what was the next step for you as far as becoming an actress, a working actress? How did you talk to anybody? Did anybody come talk to you? I mean, had you had any experience at all acting before you
no,
walked through and got your agent?
I really hadn't. But teaching preschoolers, you have this thing called group time, and you really are making whatever you're telling them come alive. And so it's kind of acting, right? Um,
Right.
and then business presentations. So when I did the fashion company, I'd given over 500 business presentations in front of people. And so I was used to being in front of people. And then really everything else just kind of fell in place. My first acting role was for one of the crime shows. So it was not a deeply involved role. It was just like a witness for a crime in an office. I was so nervous because I didn't think I could do it. And then I left thinking, I love this. I want to do more of this. So I have done some acting classes. That's helped. I've worked with Tina
Yeah.
Gallo in Nashville. Of course, it's good to do a class. Occasionally, you do still have a cold read. It's good to have a cold read class. Good to take a class on how to do your own self-taping, because that's how we audition now most of the time. It's good to have all of those tips. And then just taking films apart. I'm horrible at watching a movie with, because I find every little thing wrong with it. My family's consistently asking me to just be quiet and watch the movie.
Yeah, that is a problem for some actors and
Mhm.
some directors too. Because I've asked that question. It's like, how do you, when you watch a movie, can you watch a movie just for the movie, or do you find yourself like, I would have did this shot, or I would have I would have shot this over there. I mean, do you find yourself sort of inside, figuring out what you would do differently? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I would. That would be difficult. Are you getting better at just watching a movie just to watch it, or do you
No,
find yourself still no?
no, I'm not better. No, I'm not. And I always will sit and like watch the background people and say things like, okay,
Mhm,
guy back there has taken 10 sips of that water glass and the water's still in it. And he's not
mhm.
even putting it to his mouth anymore. Somebody should notice this. Or her hair's over the shoulder, then it's back. Now she's put it out. Somebody's in charge of continuity. Who's in charge?
I know. Speaking of that, I love this, and I love this story too because it cracks me up. But I used to. I watched the show Scrubs. I own the series,
Mhm.
and Bill Lawrence, who created the show, he was directing the pilot, and he's talking about the pilot, and he was just like, he was going to war on it. He's like, man, you can see how many mistakes I was making. The continuity errors were just standing out. It's like, yeah. But the thing is, though, when you watch it, Before that, you don't notice it, but once he starts poking it out, all of a sudden it's really obvious. It's just like, oh my god, how did I not miss that? Well, that's because while that was happening, it was the story itself that got your attention, not necessarily
Mhm.
what was going on in the background. But yes, I have seen
Yeah.
some things. In fact, I was just watching a show right before we started here, and there was a continuity error. A main character was he was clean shaven, and then later on that night he's talking to another character and he's got a beard and a mustache.
Oh no, that was
Yeah,
quick, right?
yeah, I was like, wow, okay, I've heard of 5 o'clock shadow, but come on, give me a break.
I
uh
did a project in Nashville right before COVID hit, and one of the scenes needed to be reshot, really. And so they reached back out and said, "We're going to reshoot that scene, and it'll be after COVID." But meanwhile, the other actress in the scene got really happy with the scissors and started cutting her
ooh,
hair shorter and shorter and shorter. And
ooh,
so by the time COVID was over, her hair was 6 inches shorter. So we had to go with the first option because so she had kind of ruined things for filming the extra scene. So I guess there's a
I get-
moral to that. Until it's out and they tell you you're really released, don't do anything.
right. um let's see. Oh, we want to know what Joe Kenda episode did you appear on, and what was your role?
Oh, I don't remember. I was actually on multiple ones of those. I've done about 60 of those crime shows.
Yeah,
So I would have to look back at my resume to see. So that was my start, was in the true crime stuff. And
right,
um, so my business and my entrepreneurship mind was rolling. And right after I started being on set with those directors, you get to know them a little bit, and they needed a house to film in, and they needed a pasture with a burn pile. And I live on my grandparents' old farmland, and I have a burn pile because every farm's got a pile of brush where you pile it up. And
right.
so I learned that they would pay really well to rent my house. So we
Yes.
still rent the house out 7, 8 times a year. I rent my cars out to these film crews. I've become good friends with a lot of them. They'll call and say, like, "Hey, you got that yellow bicycle in your garage still? Can we come rent that?" Sure, you can rent my
Wow,
bicycle.
that's cool.
Yeah.
That can be very lucrative too.
Yeah, and it's
um
nice because I can be on set somewhere like in Nashville filming, and they're at my house filming, and somebody else has got my car. So I'm making 3 paychecks in a day, and that's a good way to do business.
So how do you balance that with your family? I mean, how does your family, are they are they like my mom's an actress. I mean, are they pretty excited about it? I mean, are they, when they get a chance to rent the house, or do they ask for extra roles, or
No, not at all. They are so used to it now that it's just no big deal. They've seen me in theater, they've been to red carpet things with me. They've seen me on TV. We turned on the TV one night and I knew it was going to be on a show, but I was on another show first. And then I was on the next show and they were like, "Mom, we've seen you on TV before. We know what you look like on TV." And when it comes to the house, they're so used to it that they know if cameras are rolling where they can walk or not, and they're totally used to it. My youngest did post a picture once to his friends. It wasn't social media; it was just to his friends. They had pulled a mummy, kind of like a dummy, I guess, out of the lake, and it was the fake dead body. And so he sent pictures to his friends and said, "I'm just here hanging out on the dock with a dead guy." But they don't really know that it's not normal life for other people because this is just what they're used to.
let's see, go back to the chat real quick. Speaking of scrubs, Doc says he's currently wearing scrubs. Even in Hitchcock movies, there are mistakes. Yep. Let's see. I'm binge watching the Joe Kenda series right now. Let us know if you see her, Tom. Let's see. He says that's why I don't visit Hollywood. I would be starstruck. Um, who has been the biggest name that you shared scenes with?
Gosh, I don't know. I guess I did a project with who did I do? Well, with The Rock, I did a small little thing with him, and he was really kind, to talk to. So, I'm not that easily impressed by big names. I'm more easily impressed by someone's work ethic. And
Mhm.
so, I like learning from people that I meet on set, and it's not always the famous people that you learn the most from. Sometimes it's the opposite of that. So,
I was going to say, I could see you really hanging out with a director more or a producer, executive producer, more than I could the talent.
yeah. Yeah, I get asked a lot, who to listen to, who do you take advice to? New actors will ask me that routinely. And
Yeah,
I always think, like, if you're on a large film project, typically the person you want to take advice from is not the people that are talking the most. Because I don't know what reason it is, but it's typically the people that are telling you everything, like they know it all, haven't really done much. But the
mhm.
people
What's
who
that saying? If you can't work, if you're an actor and you're not working, you teach, right?
I don't know. But they give a lot of advice, like they know a lot. But the people that are quieter usually don't feel like they have to prove who they are. They're comfortable with who they already are and their knowledge and their skill set. So ask working actors for advice, just like if you were in business. You're not going to ask somebody that's done very little in business for good advice. You're going to ask somebody that's like a CEO that's done a lot, that started a business and run it well. The same's true for acting. Ask the people that are really working for good
Right.
tips. Mhm.
Okay, so let's do this. So, what would you tell someone who wanted to get into acting since you've done so much?
You need a reel. You really need experience on a
Yeah,
set. So I tell people routinely, go find a student film and work for the experience, because it's going to give you, something for your reel. It's also going to get you on a set. And then on a student film, the students are typically talking about the project and they're working on things like, does this lighting look good? Or should we use this lens or not? And so it helps you learn a little bit along with them. So student films are a great place to start. And a lot of times, an agent's not going to take you if you have no experience at all. So go out there and get some experience.
you know what? I'm just saying this right here to my chat for later on. People come watch this. You're
Mhm.
absolutely a razor sharp. That's exactly. You know what? I don't know if I've actually had someone just come out there and just say exactly that, because that's what we all talk about. We always talk about, like, how do you, because we hear I get that a lot.
Mhm.
Sometimes in the chat, sometimes, like, sometimes the actors will sit there and say they get this a lot. Like, how do I break in? How do I break in? I mean, I get asked that. I'm not an actor at all. I'm just nobody. I'm just. But I tell them the same thing. I tell them, it's like, if you want to get into acting, you don't really have the money for acting class. I say go down to a community theater and volunteer. I mean,
Yeah.
if it means sweeping the floor or taking a ticket, but do it and get used to being on a set or inside on a live stage, and get that experience. But
Mhm.
eventually you'll make some relationships and some connections, and maybe you can learn how to do a self tape. Then you can send in your audition. It's like you can start auditioning. There's a lot of ways, if you really want this. Let me see
Mhm.
this. If you
Yeah.
really want this, you can make it happen.
Another great thing for a new actor to do, and I did it, is do background work. Just go do the
Mhm.
background work. Be the person who's walking back and forth on the sidewalk. And you're not going to probably be seen, but you're not there to be seen. You're there to learn. You're there to see how it really works and learn the terminology on set. What does it mean to go back to one? You better know these things before you get a speaking role. So do your due diligence and get on a big set, even if it's out of town, and learn what it's really like on a feature film.
Now, how many production companies are there currently working in Knoxville?
Oh,
Is
there's
it is
so
it a
many.
split?
We have so
Really?
many. Yeah, and there are also a lot of commercials, that are working in Knoxville. For me, I feel like this has been the year of the commercial. I've been cast in a different commercial almost every week all year, in addition to the other stuff that I do, because every business is a potential commercial. Every tourist spot is a potential commercial. And with social media commercials, they really need that kind of vertical footage now. So you've got horizontal commercials for TV, you've got your vertical stuff for social media. There's just so much out there. We have a lot going on in Knoxville. Just the Snapped show, which is another true crime, has filmed over 500 episodes in Knoxville. And that's a great crew to work with, by the way. If you get a
What's
chance,
what's the
Snapped.
snapped? What's
Yeah.
that? I don't watch TV, so some of these shows are new. Some of these shows are new to me. But what's snapped?
Snapped is one of the true crime shows. It's where somebody snaps and does something they
Oh,
shouldn't.
snap! So they
Yeah.
go crazy. Oh, God.
Yes. And
Oh
there's
my gosh.
those. So those film almost every day of the week, except mostly not on Sundays in Knoxville. Yeah, they film at my house a lot. Good.
And Snapped, are you generally playing the attorney or a cop, or do you get a chance to
Yeah.
be the snapper?
I have never killed anyone myself, but I have
Okay.
talked people into doing it. There are so many of those true crime shows. There was Storms of Suspicion, Killer Couples, Snapped, the Joe Kenda shows, American Detective, For My Man, just bunches of those. There's a new one now called Killer Grannies that's filming in Knoxville.
No.
Yes, yes. So you need to be
Oh,
sure to play the
killer.
lead in that one, but it's filming and people are watching that. It's
Now, has there ever been anything that you like you said, you haven't killed anybody yet? Is
no.
that because you haven't been asked, or is that because you have your own boundaries?
I do have my own boundaries, but that's not one for a true crime show. It's acting. So, no, that's fine. I have said no to things on set before. And, I think it's easier now more than ever for a woman who's asked to do something she's not comfortable with to say, that's not what you said in the beginning, and that's not me. So I won't be able to do that for you. And I really do tell people this routinely too. I spoke to a group last week of students who wanted to be in the acting industry. And I said that to them very strongly. Know what your convictions and your boundaries are before you start, and then you've already made your choice. All you have to do is
Yeah.
speak what your choice is and don't go back on it, especially with film, because whatever is put on film, whether it's a picture or it's a video of some kind, it's not going away. It'll always be there. It may be there to haunt you if you do something you
Yeah.
wish you hadn't done.
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about that in a couple of weeks, actually,
Mhm.
because I know a lot of very talented young actresses that are, they get exploited.
Yeah.
And I mean, and it's frustrating to watch because they're really good, talented people, but there's just a lot of scum out there that, for some reason they feel like for their $50 budget film, they need to have the talent do topless scenes. And
Mm.
it's just, pardon my French, because I do curse on the show once in a while, so please don't be offended, but it's bullshit.
Yeah,
I don't like it.
it's a
I don't
very
like it.
sad thing to watch, isn't it? And I think it
Yeah.
comes from a place of desperation, to desperation that you either want to be famous, which isn't why you should be an actor. That's not the good goal anyway. Or it's a desperation that you want your goal achieved so badly that you will do things you didn't think you would let yourself do in order to get to where you want to be.
For this time, I would sit there and say, well, how about when you're so much more talented than the hack director behind the camera, when you really do have talent, but
Yes.
maybe you're anchored by the location where you live at, like,
Mhm.
someone who lives in Iowa, or someone who, well, not Iowa because Iowa's great, but someone who lives in like Indiana or Illinois, that's the middle of the state. They can't necessarily just get in a car and drive, to various locations, and so they
Right.
work for the small companies around them. or they don't have the ways and the means to send in the self tapes or whatever. There's a lot of reasons for it, Jill, but
Mhm.
I just feel like a lot of those actors, they just don't get a clean shot because
Mhm.
circumstances, and then directors come by there and sit there and say, I'll put you in a movie, but this is what I want from you. I need to do a topless scene, and it's
Mhm.
like, no, you don't. Not if you have a really good script.
Yeah.
Not if you have a good script and a good plot line and a good cast of good actors. You don't need to do all that. Tell your story.
Yeah.
I'm not being a prude and saying, like sometimes a movie will call for it and would it make sense? Yes, okay, I get it. But for a lot of the low budget independent films, I don't get it.
No.
So um,
It's not respectful to an actress to try to entice her to do something that she already said she's not doing. It's just
yeah,
not respectful. And we really want to be respectful to all the people on set, right? You want to be kind and respectful to every person, no matter what their role in the crew or no matter what their role as an actor is. If it's a background actor, they deserve the same respect as the lead. That's what
exactly,
fine. But it's not
exactly.
always that way, is it?
No, no. Um, Faith-based. I'm going to touch back about this because this is the sensitive part for me about that genre.
Mhm.
See, I think the smaller the production, the better. Like if you go back to the Kendricks brothers and you watch their movies, their first few movies that they did were great. The movies they make now are just crap. I just they're
I haven't
just
watched the last few, so I can't say to
it's
that, but
yeah, it's I mean it's just they get more money and then they get actors and the actors come on in there and they're supposed to be doing this heavy drama and it's just like it's all mainstream now. I The one that jumps out at me was Jennifer Garner got cast in one of these movies, and I love Jennifer Garner. I think she has the best smile ever. But she was in one of these faith-based movies, and they were talking about it. It's coming out, and the day before the movie came out, she did a video on one of the streaming services, and it was a filthy rhyme, like a nursery rhyme, and she used curse words in about going to sleep. And you're sitting there and you're watching it, just like, really? But then next thing you know, we're supposed to be, well, God is this and God is love, and it's like, it's just it's just crap. It's like the each time the budget got bigger, the less soul that they
mm,
have. They basically just, now they're up there. Now they get like $30 million budgets or whatnot, and they have expectations for that. Yet you go and see the actors that are in it, and you're sitting there going like, wow, the last time I saw that guy, he was cursing up a storm and having an affair with his co-star.
it's a
Um,
really hard thing when you're casting. First off, in casting, it's hard because you want, and I've done this in casting for things, you want to find somebody that agrees with the message of your film, and that's not always easy. Um, and just a side note to that, I always, and I am so not alone, much larger casting people than me have said the same thing. We check your social media before we offer you a role because
yes.
we want to know who are you really, because hello, you're an actor. So you're going to act a
Mhm.
part for an audition, but we want to know who you really are because we're going to have to work with you, and sometimes it's going to be late nights and you're tired and you haven't had enough coffee. Who are you going to be then? But also, when you give someone a role in a film, faith-based or otherwise, you're giving them a platform to represent your project, and you want to make sure that they are going to represent well. But that said, I have never met a perfect person yet, and so people are fallible and we all make mistakes as well. And I think that is key in remembering um, that a person may not always represent God well just because they were in a faith-based film.
I was gonna say you haven't met the perfect person yet. You haven't met my wife, but but I hear what you're saying. I hear it. Um, yeah, I feel like that's just to me. It's just like that's when like when we see like they call it separating art from the artist.
Mhm.
Um, and I get that. I mean, that there's sometimes you have to play a role, and that's not really who you are as a real person. Um, like I love Neil McDonough. I've talked about him before. I love him. That
Mhm.
guy is like he's a saint. That guy is he lost he could have been a leading man, superstar 10 times over, but he absolutely refuses to do leading man roles where he has to kiss anybody
Yeah.
because
Admiral.
that's yeah.
Mhm.
I think he's fantastic for that.
And did he
I
not
I
he did a movie in the last year, right, where his wife was who he kissed in the movie, so that's pretty
right.
cool. And
I
Kirk
think
Cameron
that's
did
true.
the same thing, years ago, he refused to kiss anyone that wasn't his wife, and so what was that movie? Fireproof. So he wouldn't kiss someone other than his wife, so in the last scene, you think he's kissing the other actress, but it's a silhouette shot with the sun in the background, the outside in the background. He's actually kissing his own wife in that scene. You just think it's
Yeah,
the actress. So
I think that was a Kendrick Brothers movie too, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah, maybe Fireproof. It
Yeah,
was a good
but
movie.
it was like
Older movie, but a
I,
good movie.
I have that one. I haven't watched it, but I do have it.
That's a good.
Um, I noticed in your picture that you remarried. I
Yes,
take it. Yeah, yes.
yes.
So how does the husband come into play? We talked a little bit about the kids. So how does the husband feel about what's going on?
He's
And
great with it. You know,
has he has go
when
ahead.
I was single and I would get especially commercial projects, they would call and say, Jill, we really want you to do the lead in this commercial, but we need a husband for you. Do you have a guy? And I would be like, I don't know. I don't have a guy. And my agent would get me a stand in husband, right? And so after my husband now, Tim, after we were engaged, I got that kind of call again. And they were like, do you have a guy? I was like, I actually might have a guy. And so he will do commercials with me, and I think we've done 18 commercials together as a married couple on commercial, um, and we have so much fun on set together. It's just such a blessing. We've been married 4 years now, and he's great, and he gets it totally because his life is different every day, just like my life is different every day. He's a public speaker and a radio show host. He has a podcast, and he's an author. He's written a bunch of books. And so he knows what it's like to have a different schedule each day of the week. And we don't always know where the other one's coming or going, but we
Oh my
try.
God. Hmm.
But we share an office in our library, and our desks face each other. So we look at each other and bounce ideas off of each other all the time. And it's a huge blessing. I didn't know how it would work if he didn't get my lifestyle. Like, that'd be pretty
Yeah,
tricky.
because so you had already because you already been working. You already were working actress when you first met him.
Yeah. Yes, I
Now,
was.
how did you meet him? I mean, for that to happen, did you meet him on set or interview or
No,
how did
I
that
met
work
him
out?
through an online Christian dating platform. And
Okay,
I can't even
okay,
believe I did that, but it sure did work well for us. And the
yes,
kids love him. He is just such a blessing to our family.
yeah. Your family definitely. You could definitely feel the importance, and
Mhm.
I love the fact of the idea they're like ducks. That the water it goes right off their back. They're not really phased by it. They're like, mom's working,
Yeah.
and they respect that.
Yeah.
Um, I think that's amazing. So, well, and you mentioned earlier, so we'll have to ask this question too. But you mentioned that you died on screen. Now you didn't kill anybody, but you've died a few times on screen. So
Yeah.
walk us through that.
Well,
Walk us through that.
I was
Uh, uh,
shot and suffocated and buried on that one. Um, And then actually, so the actor who was the villain in this one, it was for a show called Storms of Suspicion back a while back. One of the first few things I did, and I was on a commercial shoot out of town near Franklin, Tennessee. And I met a couple and they said, "Oh my goodness, we recognize you. Our son killed you." It's like, "That's right. That was your son? Oh, how cool." And no one else got what was going on. They were very confused about it. But yes, but I played, goodness, a lot of things for that and others. I've been a nurse, a doctor, um, a mom.
What's it like playing a real person? Like, the people you're playing they're not fictional characters. They're people that have been affected by this. And I laugh because I'm laughing because how you described it, but there's also because we've been talking about this. It does seem like America suddenly has a love affair with crime. I mean,
Yes.
YouTube is full of cop videos where they're busting shoplifters or whatnot. People just tune into that by the millions.
Mm-hmm.
We have movies being made. We had one Dahmer. I guess there's been other. I mean, hell, my favorite horror movie this year is based on a true story where it was a Russian cannibal. It was based on a true story, and it's like it seems like we just have a love affair with crime. Why do you think that is? Both as a producer, like if you know that if you had a chance to produce a project and you get a chance to do a sensational murder case, versus a family drama, yeah, maybe morally they like to do the family, but as a producer, as an artist, that there's more weight in the true crime story. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. But why do you think that is that we have such a fascination with crime and which produces the many shows that you've been on? I mean, I just like to hear your input on what do you think this is? I mean,
I kind of think thankfully it's not in most of our minds to commit those kinds of heinous crimes. It's a foreign thing to us, and we try to figure it out because it seems so bizarre, because it is bizarre behavior.
Yeah.
And so bizarre behavior that actually happened really piques our curiosity. How did that really happen? What were those people thinking? How could they actually do that? How did they resort to that? What kind of person does this kind of thing? So it really piques our interest.
Let's see. Let me go back to the chat real quick because Tom just commented here. Let's see. We're talking about producers and directors earlier. So I'm going to go back and read Dom's here. He mentions cough, cough, Dustin Ferguson. Yes, the worst director in America, hands down, the worst. Dustin Ferguson. You see that name? Run the other way. Let's see. Of course, I have to acknowledge that. You're right. Let's see. Hi, Brene. How are you? Please drive safely as you're listening to us. I appreciate it. See, Tom says, don't forget Tom Cruise likes to work with similar thinking people, but he doesn't think Scientology is a religion. That's a freak show.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see. Okay, yeah. I'll ask her that. Because I'm sure she's probably done a few of those. Tom mentions Larry Hagman. He got insults thrown at him by ordinary citizens. Some saw him as JR. Oh, geez. Yeah, I remember that. Oh my gosh, I remember that. Yeah, when Dallas first started, yeah, that happened to him. People would boo and hiss him and stuff, and he was a great JR. He was. I like JR. I always liked the character. He was slimy, but I liked him. See, probably not the brightest Dallas fans. No, probably not. Let's see, and I mentioned Larry was great. Now that's something that we'll have to talk about. Now, have you done any paranormal docudramas?
Not at all. And I really haven't had an opportunity to even do any of those. So maybe those aren't actually filming in Knoxville. I haven't heard of any of those. So nope, none here.
Now, what are 3 roles that you've had
Mhm.
where you had to that that were daunting to you, that you came upon them and they're difficult. What three roles did you play, and how did you work it out to make the scene work, or the role work?
I think probably the most daunting thing for me wasn't an acting thing because as an actor, I'm mostly concerned with me, right? Like my part and how I'm going to do the thing. I think the bigger challenge for me is producing because it's multifaceted. Like, so when I'm acting, I love it and I'm totally in my character in my mind, right? Method acting. And I think that works for me. But in producing, you can't just be focused on what you're doing because you have to be focused on your 120 actors on set as well, and all of your crew members, and if craft services is getting there on time. And so I think some of my hardest things have been in that role. Like I was producing a project, and the week before production started, my wardrobe person had a family emergency and quit. And I have no one over wardrobe. And there's nobody that I have worked with before that is available. And I didn't want to risk a brand new person.
Right.
So I took on wardrobe as well. And it forced me to come up with a system to communicate every outfit I needed, every person in exactly when they needed it. And I'm really thankful I did it now, but that was a hard thing for me to do
Mm.
in trying to get everything else done. And now that's the system that I like to use for other people to use as well. So I feel like those are the bigger challenges in a way, is the multifaceted things more so than just acting. Because in acting, you can get into your character and your role and you can do your research and you can mark up your script and get your lines down so that they kind of become you. But producing is not about just you. It's about more, you know?
Yeah, I can definitely can see that. I mean, I definitely producing it can be a real pain in the butt, for sure. I mean, that, like you said, that's the line. The line is drawn here with the producer. But I do think though that acting, though, there's been times, and other actors have commented that there's been a certain role, that they played, and they just can't grasp the character. Or they had troubles with it, and of course, because of that, they struggle. Sometimes they struggle with it,
Yeah.
and an actor doing that, especially a lead, that can really sort of like bounce things around a little bit too. It's like,
Mhm.
I got to get into this character. I'm not seeing the motivation. I'm not really understanding him, or him or her. You
Yeah,
know,
and sometimes it's the other actor you're working with that
mhm,
makes that difficult. Of course, if it's somebody that isn't doing their A game, bringing their A game, but sometimes it's just in casting. I did a role once that the guy that was cast as my husband in this role was so much younger than me. And it was not believable to me that he would be my husband because I felt like, he's like 15 years younger than me and I could have babysat him. So I felt like that we had to overcome that image, right?
right.
But we had to seem like we were our son was missing. He'd run off with his girlfriend, and we needed to be very concerned about that. So, but in the background of the whole thing in our minds is we are having to overcome the fact that it didn't feel right. It didn't feel like we were a couple, but we
Yeah.
were trying to make it look like we were. So sometimes there's just those dynamics that make it tricky.
Gosh, I remember. Yeah, and it's weird when you see it on cam. If you see it on camera on TV, you watch it on TV. I think the first time I ever saw that, where it just felt completely cringe, was James Bond, when
Uh,
Roger Moore had act against a young actress who played a role, like a skater or something like that, and he's like 60 years old and she's like 21, and he said that. He says, I never felt. I think that's when he said that he felt like he just needed to, that was it for him. He
mm,
says he felt absolutely like this is not believable, and he felt very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
I remember reading about that. He says he felt very uncomfortable doing the scenes, especially the the intimate scenes, because he said it just didn't feel right.
Yeah.
Um,
Casting
uh,
is huge. And, I mean, the director's got a huge part in casting, and, oh, all kinds of people have a voice in casting and who gets cast, but it makes a massive difference in a project. It can be the difference in something being believable or, like you said, bizarre.
and Tom came through and said it was for your eyes only. Yeah, with Holly Johnson played the girl, that
Mhm.
skater. That was that was weird.
Mhm.
Um, what if okay? So let's say you are a producer and you get a chance to cast your dream film.
Yeah.
It's going to be a drama. So cast me give me a storyline that you would like to do, and give me two actors and two actresses who you would love to cast if given the opportunity and money with no object.
No clue. That's a hard question. I don't have a good answer for you because I'm not a screenwriter. So, yeah.
Okay, we'll do a James Bond movie. We'll put you in a James Bond movie. So you're gonna direct a new Bond. So so there you go. Those things write themselves. But tell me two actors and two actresses and one director. Let me add that into the mix. One director who you would like to see operate a project that you're producing.
I don't know about the actors and actresses. I have no clue there, but I do know a director that I worked with just a little bit that I really respected, and it was Barry Jenkins. He was excellent as a director, and here's what impressed me about him. That was one of the first things I did. I was not in a big role at all. It was Underground Railroad. It shot down in Georgia, and knowing that I wasn't anybody important, he remembered my name and he remembered the names of the other people on set. And when we wrapped on our last day of filming for 5 days, and we were there, in the middle of the night, and it was freezing cold, and we were doing drone shots and all kinds of stuff. He came up to another lady and I and asked us how we felt about the project. He said, "Do you feel like we could have done anything better? Did it feel authentic
Wow.
to you because it was a period piece?" And that really impressed me,
Yeah.
that he, as a well-known director, cared about input from other people on set that didn't have significant parts in his project. That's the kind of person I like to work with.
He probably saw you as his representative of the viewing audience.
Yeah, maybe so. Yeah, good
Yeah.
point.
He's just, because I mean, even after you're done shooting a project, you still are a movie fan. You still, you still like, well, you're gonna have to do something about that. be able to be able to watch it, to be able to watch it without just relax, and that would be sort of hard. I get it.
Yeah.
But he probably just wanted to say, as an average American, what do you feel about this movie? Would be, the scene, what did you? I think that's really neat. I think it's quite an honor, to tell you the truth.
I've found that, to me anyway, in my experience, most people on set are nice, and
Mhm.
most actors
Yes.
are easy to get along with. Most crew members really are, and it's been the exception to have people that are rude. And when that happens, I don't need to work with those people again.
No.
I sure wouldn't
Uh,
cast those people.
I just go back to Bill Lawrence again, because during his commentary, one thing, and his cat and his crew said it too, says he had a no asshole policy. It's like, you could come to work for us, you could play with us, you could have fun with us, but if you're an asshole, you were gone. I mean,
Yeah.
we're just, just there was just no room for that.
Mm.
So we're coming up here, but I'm going to ask you a couple more questions, some couple of fun questions.
Okay.
So who is your favorite actor and actress? I mean, when you watch them, I mean, who would you spend $15 for a ticket and $30 for concessions to watch?
Well, I'm probably unique that I don't have a favorite. I like different ways different people react in different scenes. And I've
Hmm.
heard other actors actually say the same thing. So instead of having a favorite, we're taking apart scenes and saying, "Oh, I like the way that person did that one little glance. I like the way this person did that." And so in doing so, we learn multiple things from multiple people, but we don't have any one person as the idol to look up to.
Sort of
Um,
like a composite, right?
yeah, yeah. So it could be somebody that nobody knows that I pick up. Oh, I
Mhm.
like the way they did
Yeah.
that. And it could also be somebody that's pretty famous, and I think, hmm, that did not work at all. So taking it all apart, I think is for me has been better than having a favorite.
I like independence. You know, I like the up and comers. They're the ones that are fun to talk with. You know,
Mhm.
when they're just getting their start. You know, though you are far more experienced, but you know, it's fun to talk to you because you had so many different roles and basically, you know, being a faith-based actor. Do you consider yourself a working actress, or do you consider yourself a working faith-based actress?
I'm a working actress because most of the projects I do are not faith-based. Those are the ones that are dear to
No,
my heart, but those are not, um, even a fourth of what I do is not faith-based. So,
right,
yeah, what I don't do, of course, is like what we've already said, I don't cross boundaries that I've already put in place in my life
right,
for what I will and won't do, and I don't kiss anybody on set if it's not my husband. So,
right,
there you go.
right. The
I made
Neil
that
McDonough
choice.
rule. That's a good rule. That's a good rule to have, honestly.
It is a good rule to have. Yeah, I can pretend to be your wife, but I'm not gonna kiss you. It's not gonna
Yeah.
happen. Mhm.
It's a shame because sometimes you think that you know those scenes like that. You know, you always hear about, you know, because it's hard. I mean, a lot of actors sit there and say when they do the intimate scenes like that, you know, you know, they're human. They're
Mhm.
absolutely human. And yes, and yes, there might be an intimacy coordinator. There might be 15 people on set or what have you. But when you're doing a scene like that, an intimate scene, and you have to make it believable, you have to give of yourself to do that.
You do.
And that could be very dangerous, very dangerous. So I understand that.
I don't
Uh,
ever wanna do something in film that my kids can't watch me do.
right, right.
So that's
You know what's funny? You know what's funny though is that most people I talk to, and I'll sit there and say, like, you know, they have done a you know an intimate scene, you know, and you say, well, what do your parents think? You know, and they'll sit there and say, my parents don't have a problem with the intimacy, and this is coming from some actresses.
okay.
What they really get stressed out about is seeing me dead, and I'm like, yeah, you know,
That is true.
yeah. I said
Yeah,
that's the part that gets my parents.
my parents watched me, in a show that I died in once, and my mother was very upset. And I was like, "No,
Oh,
mom, it was just it wasn't real." And she said, "No, I don't like that. I'm not watching that again."
yeah,
And I don't
I
blame
can
her.
understand.
I
I don't
wouldn't
blame her.
watch that either. Yeah.
No, I wouldn't blame her. So what do you have next for 2026? What is Jill going to be working on for next year?
Well, I'm working with Knoxville Christian Arts Ministry, and we are in the process of getting our next film out. So that's a big deal. I'm super excited about that one. And then, I work with marketing firms in Knoxville to help with casting for commercials. I do commercial projects. So there's always that kind of work too. And I'm a fan of commercials because as a
Oh
mom,
yeah.
a commercial is a great project, like
Hmm.
I
And
just
they pay very well too.
they pay very well, and especially if it films in Knoxville. I wrapped 8 commercials for a local company that's like 12 minutes from my house. And, I'm on set for an hour and a half doing the commercial and I leave. And that's a piece of cake, right? A commercial.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, when actors get those nationals commercials,
Uh-huh.
then a lot of them will sit there and say that's the best news I've gotten because it actually allows them to relax. You know, because a lot of actors, you know, they're always hustling for the next role. You know, I got what's coming up, what's coming up, what's coming up. But when you do a couple of commercials with they pay you, you can relax. I mean, you still you're on the grind, but there's not, you know, you don't have any breathing down your neck,
True.
you know,
And it's
because
easy to memorize your script for a commercial. I mean, it's easy. And most commercial projects, you don't have to cry. You don't have to get super upset.
mm-mm,
Most of the time on a commercial project, they want you to be happy and having a good
yeah,
time or presenting the project, well. So commercials are a dream paycheck. Mhm.
Definitely, definitely. All right. I'm excited to talk to you. I'm very excited to talk to you. I'm glad to talk to you. Sounds like I have to talk to your husband somewhere down the line too.
He's
Now that
pretty.
I hear that he's a writer and a podcaster, we're like, yeah, you never know when you're going to find a guest. I found you in the women's group, the women's filmmakers group
Yeah,
on Facebook. How do you feel? How do you feel about groups on Facebook? I mean, are they good places? Or is it a good resource for you? Has it been a good resource for you,
huge
or
for me.
uh,
Yes. I think that a lot of the younger actors, they'll say, well, what do you recommend? Where do you think I should look for parts? And when I say Facebook, they go, oh, no, I don't do Facebook. I'm like, you know what? You need to. And it doesn't hurt to try a new thing, but to them, Facebook is the old person's game. But that's where I get cast a lot. Also, networking is massive, in acting and
right?
in this industry, networking is huge, and Facebook is networking. That's what it's
Yeah,
for. So you got to learn to
yeah.
network
I
options.
I agree. Um, of course, I think it helps that there's a couple of really good mods over there too, because you got to be careful. There's so many shysters out there too, looking to take advantage. So you got to be. I like that group a lot because and then the first thing I do anytime I go inside the group is I tell anybody and everybody, like, you want to vet me, please vet me,
Mm,
please look me up. Here, just don't take me for my word. Feel free to look at my work. I want you to. I want you to feel 100% comfortable. Because a lot of time, and there's a lot of shady out there, like we talked earlier about shady directors that are they say one thing and do another, and you don't want to get caught in that situation.
yeah, and there's a
Um,
lot of advice givers, like we talked about earlier. They talk big, but they've never done anything, and so you do
mhm.
need to check people out, which it's not that hard to do on Facebook.
No,
It's
it
not hard.
amazes it amazes me so much still how many scammers there are out there, and all it takes is like a good 30 seconds to look, and you can find out the ones that are truth tellers and other ones who are liars. So
Mhm.
easy. But I think what you said before about certain actors who are they're just desperate, so they just reach out and grab the first thing they could grab onto. Not necessarily the best thing. It's not the best thing to do. Just because you get an offer from somebody to do a movie does not mean it's in your best interest to do it.
I agree.
Sometimes it's best just to wait to see a better situation to come on.
Mhm.
And to me, it's like, I'm with you too in the fact that I highly recommend it because I've heard it from so many people here. But if you want to get into the movies, go to your local university and see if they have a film department, and
Mhm.
go and tell filmmakers that you'd be willing to act for them.
Yep.
Probably won't get much out of it. I mean, but at least you get some experience.
And you'll learn
So,
stuff. I think a hard thing that um, I've talked about with a few actresses is when you are transitioning from doing the free stuff to I don't do free work anymore.
yes,
People don't
yes.
like that. They want you to do the work for free, or they
Oh,
they can get kind of mad at you. So it's important to remember it's your income, it's your business. Acting is a
mhm.
business. And so it would be like saying, hey, can you go take a vacation day and work for free for me so that I can make money from it?
Yeah.
And that's really what you're doing if you have an actor who's working. So if I work for free, then I'm potentially turning down a paid day in order to help you out. And I can't always do that. So
Well,
I,
I look at it this way: to a director who does that. Uh, hey, Dal, how are you, sir? I feel like this. I feel like if you're a director and you're not, part of being a director is that you have to have a budget too. So if you go inside and you're doing a project and you're not budgeting for your talent, you failed your project.
Mhm.
You failed it because your actor's walking away with nothing. That's not good. Nobody wants to work for free. Do you want to work for free?
Yeah,
No. Then you have to learn to budget you have to budget your talent.
you
Uh,
have to pay
certainly
people.
certainly wouldn't tell your cinematographer on the day of shoot that oh, by the way, I'm not paying you. I can guarantee you that you're not shooting anything that day.
That's true. So why treat your actors differently? You know,
Hmm.
actors work hard too, and so they need to be paid. Yeah. But
All right. Go ahead.
that's a hard transition to make from doing the free to I only do paid projects, because people like you when you do the free stuff. So,
Yeah, or they want, or they. I'm sure you probably get asked, "Can you do me a favor?"
mhm.
You really? Like really? I mean, even if you don't have that much, even if you don't have that much cash money in your pocket, you can certainly set up a craft table for them at least. At least put $25 in their gas tank. I mean,
Some
if you can't, something, and the one that cracks me up is the ones that they say, you'll get a credit, you get an IMDb credit. Yeah, I can't eat off that, and I can't
yeah.
drive on it either. So
No,
what good is that going to do me?
and if you've
So
already got IMDb credits, then no, you're a accredited actor. It's okay to know that you have value and to expect some kind of compensation for your talent.
yes, yes. And
Mhm.
on that, we have hit our mark. And
Okay.
I want to thank you, Jill, for coming out and hanging out with us. I definitely want to turn to the chat here. Tom is mentioning a couple of things here. He says most of his favorite movie directors are gone. Uh, there's still some really good ones out there. Ashleen Clark is still out there, and Ken Thomas is still out there. Liam Gavin, wherever he is, he's still out there. See, the worst See, the worst director probably was Stanley Kubrick. Yeah, he wasn't. Yeah, he wasn't. I wouldn't want to work for that guy, even though he had a great reputation. I would love to work for Richard Donner, though. Thank you so much, for Tom. Had a great time doing this interview, and I hope you guys had a great time listening. Do you guys have any questions for Jill before we let her go? Because she's got to do a shoot tomorrow.
Yeah. Early morning.
Early morning. Yes. Is it pretty much, how far away is it from your house?
It'll be about a half hour drive, so I got to be on set at 8. So I'll leave
Okay.
early in the morning, but it's okay. It's all right.
All right. Well, I tell you what, that'll be it for us. Thank you to the chat. We'll be back here next Saturday night. A special show on Saturday night at 9 p.m. I know we're really off our schedule, but it's for a good reason because we will be talking to professional wrestlers. My first professional athlete, James Fury, will be with us Saturday at 9 p.m. He is a terrific young man, has a great future in front of him, and we'll be talking all things wrestling on Eight Questions with. And then on the 16th, we will have our good friend Barb from Fear the Talking Heads. She'll be here, and then to close the month up, we'll on the 18th we will be talking to Arthur Wynn Scott Eckert, and we'll be talking all things Doc Savage and Pulp, and I cannot wait for that. I'm super excited. So, but to you guys in the chat, thanks for coming out, and we will see you Saturday night, 9 p.m. Have a great night. And Jill, thank you so much. And stay right where you're at for 1 second while I say goodnight to the chat. And then I'll talk to you on the other side.
All right.
Peace.